everyone. My name is Angela Vo. Emergent Fund is a queer, women of color-led, participatory, rapid response fund that is led by and for movement organizers, and we're powered by collective liberation values. Emergent Fund was initially born in the aftermath of the Trump election when our communities were being hit by violent attacks all across the board. And a creative collective of several donors who are mostly women of color saw the need to really move money that allow communities under threat to pivot quickly, enough to disrupt harm, but also, more importantly, build power that allow us to emerge on the other side of crisis. And so when I really think about transformative action, there's a synergy between long arc organizing and rapid response organizing, and that's where Emergent Fund comes in. As organizers, you're someone who's interested in social change and you're witnessing and paying attention what's happening in your community and what are moments where we can really energize and activate people to take action for long, big picture changes so that we don't have to endure this again. One of our favorite stories is we were all witnessing the uprisings in the wake of the murder of a young child named Adam Toledo in Chicago. And we got a call in the middle of the night from one of our grantees asking us to support and send rapid response dollars so that they could pivot and get their people out of the jails and back into the streets where they're leading direct actions. And fast forward just a few weeks later, they've really tapped into the thousands of people took to the street to demand justice into a measure called treatment, not trauma. And so they were demanding mental health resources and community support programs instead of cages and jails. And we funded them through our parallel sister fund, our C4, and they were able to translate that political power into tangible political outcome, and they won that measure. And so it was a major victory for Chicago to be able to divest from jails and invest back into their communities through treatment and not trauma. With the immediate fall of Roe v. Wade, the colonized territories of the U.S. tend to be totally neglected in grant making in general, especially the tiny island of colonized Guam. And we got wind of a young youth-led reproductive justice organizing collective of young women and gender marginalized folks who were organizing because the closest access to safe abortion would have been an expensive flight to Hawaii. And so we reached out to them and they were thrilled because they had never been offered this type of funding before, and we were their very first funder. And part of the way how collaboration, it also includes grantee to grantee. Because they were new and up and coming, they were still getting their tax status solidified. And one of our other grantees, Micronesian Climate Change Alliance, which does have a solid fiscal tax status, offered to be able to help these young organizers process their very first grant. And so there are moments like that where not only does it take a community to fund good work, but also it takes organizers who are also making sure resources are moving to their peers. So we have two bodies, folks who have deep roots in communities, deep roots in organizing, but maybe a step out of it. So they're a little bit removed, but still maintain those relationships and are still trusted as thought leaders who continue to drive praxis within the field. And then we also have a wider network of frontline organizers who are anonymous. They are able to weigh in on each and every one of our grants and also make direct connections. So there's a lot of creative collaboration, but it's very scrappy. Emergent Fund is really unique and pushes the bound of philanthropy in that we really live our values. We move with trust, and because of our community, we're able to move both fast and effectively. We have both an ongoing grant cycle that's each and every month that's predictable, that anyone can apply to. We also do active, proactive outreach and offers of funding with no application needed to folks who are doing frontline work. We're often one of the first funders in the field. And because of that, it's really common for our peers to reach out to us to ask us who we're funding, who we think they should be funding. I live for the emails where folks are like, oh my goodness, I have never received funding with such trust and care. And for someone to proactively offer care in this way is really healing. And so I think that some of the generative effects of the way of us showing up in our power also allows our grantees to show up in their power and demand more from funders and for funders to shift their practice. I think a really great example of how we're challenging power is we're really emphasizing the importance and the interdependent nature of rapid response organizing and long arc movement building. And we really see them as going hand in hand. Right now, the main narrative is like it's either or, and often they're pitted against each other. There's also a narrative around rapid response organizing that we believe is very racialized and gendered. And the way how people talk about rapid response is that it's often very not strategic, it's emotional. But often rapid response work is where communities are tapping into the energy of the moment that is able to mobilize and catalyze millions of people to take action. And we see that especially during electoral seasons. We're in one right now. There's no accident that Emergent Fund was funded in the aftermath of the Trump election. Right now, as we're approaching 2024, we are about to face full-on fascism at the polls, and it's going to be on national stage. And it's moments like this where people realize how important it is to have nimble, rapid response funds to really catch all of the unexpected violent attacks. And we need to be ready. They have plenty of money to play with, and we need to be funding like we want our people to win, and so that they're ready to take whatever our opponents have to throw at us. We would like to ask for your help in two ways. One is to resource long arc movement building. So you can fund folks for the long haul. We love multi-year grants. And then in addition to that, please fund open access rapid response funds like ourselves who are deeply accountable to movement, because not only do we need to have our baseline stability funds, our orgs also need to be able to have creative, innovative funds for them to lead movement experiments, to be able to respond to those unexpected emergencies that get thrown at us so that it doesn't derail us from that core ongoing civic engagement work. In many ways, we'll stay core to our roots, which is that we are always designed to be led by and for movement and to be open and accessible and to have 100% trust-based, unrestricted grants. We hope to be able to scale our work, considering especially what's to come, so that our folks have not just money for survival, but also like funding to be able to push and try things so that we can get to where our communities are thriving. Another part that we're keeping an eye out for is we also have a C4 arm. It's a really powerful political tool. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn in leveraging and not leaving any power on the table for our people. And so as one of the very few funds who have both a C3 and C4, we're unique in that folks don't apply to them as separate. Folks just have one single application, and retrospectively, if they have a C4 arm, we offer. And we'd love to see not just our work, but other open and accessible C4 dollar sources exist from our peers as well. When donors believe in the power of collectives and fund collectives in that same way, they themselves are joining in this sacred work of collective liberation. I do believe that together as a community, we can go both faster and further, and Emergent Fund directly supports that work. It is because of our collective decision-making processes that we are more efficient and more effective. We are very high impact, and we really can be both effective and efficient together.